With the success of the first Pokémon movie in 1999, it was inevitable that there would be follow-ups that would ensue, who, and quite a lot of them over the years, so, with that in mind, let's talk about Pokémon Movie 2000 for its 25th anniversary, and much like the same summer as Mission Impossible 2 and X-Men, it ended up being what I consider at least something foundational blockbuster for me and many others. And I definitely have been meaning to revisit it again for a while. I mean, if other people can do that, so can I. So let's begin. During a boat trip in the Orange Islands, Ash, Misty, and Tracy, wind up with their pilot Marin on Shimudi Island, getting caught up in ancient traditions known mission involving a ceremony of fire, ice, and lightning, in which three treasures representing these elements must be found and brought to one of their specific pedestals. But beyond that, that has to be done before a specific cataclysm can envelop the land, not helped by an eccentric collector known as Lawrence III, Herd, seeking to draw out Articuno, Zapdos, and Moltres, and it falls to not only Ash and Pikachu, as well as their companions, but also the then new legendary Lugia in order to help quell the balance once and as for the Western tagline Power of one person make all the difference when the original Japanese version was based on Unity. He, well, I was one of the people that interpreted that as many acting as one, and so what they were saying about this is true from a certain point of view. If anything, I find it interesting that the way that the poster in my copy of the movie we have is like the understrip here is white rather than the usual or, black or really stark green depending on who's animating in the episode in question. I mean, just something to think about as I'm working on my latest beta of the Suspended Halloween costume. And even though there are some silly elements in hindsight, like the whole Pikachu clubbing Ash's head as he races up towards Marin's boat, and also just how many transport get wrecked, I imagine the biggest beneficiary of potential water damage would be shipwrights, and it is very much treated with real stakes and even with finding more and more about some of the extended lore from Shudo's novels, I can definitely tell this movie is very much his creation, as been documented from Lugia himself, and it's definitely an interesting element that shows the relationship between he anime, video game, and trading card game is still quite close, and it's still a bit smaller than it used today. Hey, and I will say the line from Misty to treating them like just something collect like dolls or stamps is a little bit awkward in hindsight. Though, given some of these pieces I've been reading, I still maintain a lot of these retailers dropping the ban hammer on the more aggressive people whenever a new set drops are right to do so. I mean, so Costco being another one joining Walmart in this, meaning that they couldn't even get like the $1.50 hot dog and soft drink they wanted to. And as for why Lawrence just lets them go, I actually still think it makes sense sometimes because he doesn't consider them threats, just unexpected guests, so to speak. And as video game adaptations go, it definitely had more effort put into it than a lot of other live action ones before and since. and why I wasn't even aware that it was actually done like a 4:3 ratio in the initial release. Is why, but I can definitely say that I was very grateful for the widescreen in copies I got here on this Blu-ray Steelbook. I mean, of course, as per usual, just watch the movie again. Why I started talking and a lot of elements, and it's definitely they still stand out at me. Even though it was only fairly recently he found out about the rescue adventure, as in getting my VHS copy from when my local store's offloading theirs. I still, and the whole fact that they cut the narration from it. I mean, I still think it was actually pretty alright how they actually were able to tell a coherent and actually pretty engaging story by just letting the visuals and music events of Walt. I mean, while I'm not saying we get to like Pixar's levels of novel storytelling, go see Ella if you haven't, but it definitely didn't think it was that bad, and I think I have to see if I can find that short somewhere online. I mean, I know that it must be floating around somewhere, but it does take some digging. And I don't even mind like the music tracks I have there. I mean, like the cover of like Pokemon World by Youngstown, featuring Nobody's Angel, oh, was one of the few signals also the movie itself of this being a piece of our culture that helped signal the end of the '90s, beginning of the new millennium, um, or at least setting the stage for it. I mean, we also have the late great disco godmother Donna Summer, her her doing like the titular Power of One. We also, and as well as Westlife's Flying Without Wings, who is another band that actually has done quite well for themselves on the inspirational music circuit, as they often do. As for Weird Al's Pokemon, I personally don't have as much issues with it as other people do. I mean, it's the same kind of enjoyably playable, whole tasty cheese as was when they used Dare to Be Stupid in the 86 Transformers movie, at least for my money, or like for previous year when he was doing like the Saga Begins for Star Wars. I mean, there's so even the soundtrack is a nice little cross section about where the franchise was in that time frame, and I definitely would prefer more things like this as opposed to who some of the more recent dub themes, which to me at least sound like the legit belong to a sitcom, like Perfect Stranger or something like that. Naturally, the movie was another solid hit, grossing $133 million worldwide. Not quite as big as the previous is installment, and admittedly international numbers did a bit more heavy lifting this time around, but still, all proof that there was still miles left in the tank, and especially as we're nearing like 3 full decades of existence, it seems like, if I paraphrase a very old study, that rumors of this franchise being just a fad, quote unquote, have been greatly exaggerated. Did I? I'm still not entirely certain what will become during tomorrow's Pokemon Presents, hence with me marking in this movie's 25th anniversary. Hey, but I would at least be open to an update about how the next movie as one of my wildcard picks, given how the franchise has been hiatus for a while from the screens. Given who distributors in Japan look at like the stablemate Godzilla, where more than one movie in that franchise ends with the Beast returning to the sea until the time is needed again, and I still like for the most part the pitch they have in mind with and from Kobun Shizuno, oh, with one modest request. I would say drop the commentary angle and just or at least downplay it and just make a straight up adaptation of the earlier games with And instead of using OCs, use Red and Leaf, or at least different variants of them. Anyway, that's all I have to say for now, and I will see you tomorrow with this month's Pokemon Presents. So, take care, everyone.